If the mute, then we are ready to go.
Thank you. We will call the Italian Village Commission to order for, Monday, November 10th, 2025 at 4 p.m. here at 111 North Front Street, second floor, in room 205. Next business meeting will be Tuesday, November 25th, 2025 at noon, same address, second floor, same room, 205. Next month's hearing will be Tuesday, December 17th, 2025 at 4 p.m. Same address, second floor, next door, in room 204. With that, I will swear in staff. You will raise your right hand and state your name for the record. And you promise to tell the truth in your testimony, to the best of your ability, this afternoon and evening.
Yes.
All right, perfect. All right, let's do the commissioner introduction. Joe, you want to start?
Joe Berardi,
Shannon Salvador.
Jason Sudi?
Paige Kaplanski.
Jordan Smith.
Excellent. Do we have any public fora today?
No, nothing for you.
Okay, sounds good. Approval of staff approvals. Let's look at what page that starts on. It looks like it is on page 5,
Sure.
page 4. Okay, can I have a motion to approve staff approved applications?
So moved.
And a second? All in favor? Aye, opposed? And I'll read through the addresses for extensions: 953 North 4th, 259 Detroit, 1153 Say, 875 Summit, 1111 Say, and that's it. Any abstentions on any of those? Hearing none. Okay, so with that, let me get a motion to approve the meeting minutes from October 14th, we didn't have it. Never mind. Back to September 9th, 2025 meeting.
So moved.
And do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? No abstentions? Okay, that is passed. Over to our regular agenda now. Staff, anything we need to know before we get into the action?
No, only the two items that were moved to staff approval at the business meeting have been made on the agendas for practice applications.
Okay.
There's some future, little tiny details. So.
Okay, sounds fine.
Yeah, that's all.
Sounds good. All right, let's dive in. Do we have someone from 940 Hamlet here? We do not. You want to skip that one, come back?
Yeah, we can do.
Okay, sounds good. Do we have somebody from 345 East Second? Excellent. Why don't you come on up? This is COA 2501170. And we will get you seated and then ask each of you to raise your right hands and state your names for the record.
Shalil.
I'm sorry, give me your own.
Okay, Shalil Johanna.
Abram Radcliffe.
And you promise to tell the truth in your testimony to the best of your ability to say. Excellent. Okay, we're going to go to staff and move back to you.
All right, so this is to add 2 ADA parking spaces, repaint existing spaces, install 2 new storefront man door with emergency exit handles, and 4 new concrete pier and add new metal gate for submitted plans. At the November business meeting, the application was moved to staff approval with the following conditions. Was for applicant to select gate WG F20. No, this is previous. I've done this before.
Oh, you had it right there.
Right there. So F20. Which the applicant was amenable at the business meeting, and applicant submit fencing for the transformer to HPO staff to follow staff approved material and style. After conversation with the applicant, HPO staff determined that staff approval could only be issued for vertical fence pickets. The applicant requested the commission review the horizontal fence pickets at the hearing, so the application remains on the agenda for commission action. Staff recommends to approve COA 2501170, 345 East 2nd Avenue, as submitted, pending clarification, to be submitted with HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of certificate with following condition, that the fencing be vertical pickets in lieu of the horizontal.
So this is for the dumpster screening?
This is for the transformer.
Transformer screening. I got you. Okay.
Not much for materials uploaded for the horizontal.
It's like treated 1x6 of metal with black metal posts.
Okay.
What it is.
So we didn't,
I don't know if we did now.
I just mentioned it.
Okay, so there, you don't have a a drawing for it.
A little rendering.
All right, that's okay. Well,
That's what it looks like now, this is kind of.
okay, gotcha. All right, it's not worried at all. Sorry. Like, I was imagining we were talking about it. Just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've seen it before.
So just to clarify, staff, just because this comes up every now and then, so we've never adopted a formal standard that allows for horizontal. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so for staff approval, it has to be vertical and horizontal.
Understood. Okay. All right, who wants to, anybody want to dive? Are there any other issues on this?
No, that would be.
Sounds good. Anyone want to dive on this?
I'll say that I'm okay with that because it matches the horizontal metal of the main fence. Good. It's visually more pleasing.
Any thoughts, Joe?
Numbers aren't backlit or anything, right? That's just part of the rendering. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paige?
Yeah, I'm fine with the board. It's also included the industrial look of the building. Maybe we could make sure that there are any dimensions for the height or anything that we could like make sure we.
Yes, I know the max is 6 foot and we're around 4 foot, 4.5 feet.
Okay.
So we are way below.
So yeah, maybe we say approved with a max height of what's the,
Well,
yeah.
We could do the 4.5 feet. That'd be great.
That would be-
Will that make it? Make it?
yeah, it should be around 4.5 feet, but we say a max of 5, just to be safe.
That's fine.
Well,
It'd be under just 6 feet over is to have, you have to confirm. So anything under 6 feet, you don't have to confirm. We can also include, just the site plan or that detail interested for, stamp from.
All this.
What's that?
I said I echo all this.
Okay, sound good. Yep, same for me. All right, I'm gonna make a motion.
Um, Motion to approve COA 25011170 with the condition that the horizontal fence, to be less than 5 feet.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions. Great.
awesome.
All right, good luck. No one came in.
Yes, someone did come in, so we can circle back to one.
Oh, we have a 940 Hamlet? Yep, okay. Well, in that case, we will not circle back to it yet. 35 East Hubbard, 35 East Hubbard. This is COA 250106. To get you seated and get you sworn. All right, will you raise your right hand, state your name for the record?
Ashley Wood?
And you promise to tell the truth and testimony to the best of your ability to say.
Yes.
Excellent. So over to staff, then back to you.
This is to install illuminated canopy sign over front entrance awning on the corner of North Pearl and Hubbard, sign to be a raceway canopy. Raceway canopy illuminated channel letters, say Parkside, logo to be black aluminum open channel letters with the returns and inside to be painted Monteo gold metallic. Illumination to be faux neon with 2700 color temp. Raceway to be aluminum painted black. Sign to be 10 feet, 1 5/8 inch by 1 foot 7.5 inch, which is within the standards for wall signage. Install wall mounted plaque on opposite corner of entrance. Sign to be aluminum plaque repainted black, plaque gold metallic, logo to be routed inside to say Parkside on Pearl. Sign size to be 12 inches by 18 inches. The Parkside Pearl structure was originally approved in 2021. At the November business meeting, the commissioners made the following statements and recommendations. For applicant to reduce raceway to 2 inches or to maybe install signage on the face of the canopy rather than above. We were not able to staff approval because it did not follow within the requirements at that time. The applicant has revised the drawing to have the signage on the face of the raceway instead of above the raceway. Staff recommendation is to approve application as submitted with any clarifications. We submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of the certificate. Basis of staff record short warrant design guidelines. Signage page 3.37 to 3.41.
All right, sounds good. What are you?
Okay, we just reduced, basically been back and forth with the business meetings, and so I think she could have covered it, but it'll be thing, this sign on top of, in front of the raceway to kind of just make it appear as if it doesn't exist. And so they did it at night. Not, is there anything else you need from me?
I don't know, we're gonna find out.
I think this solves what I was, for me, what I was looking for as far as minimizing that, block there. So, yeah, I think it looks great. Thanks for working with us.
Super.
Yeah, with all the things.
No comment?
One question, is there a way to get that raceway and pinch it in just a little bit so we don't see it on the edge of the TV?
I can just help that. I think a little concern just to make sure that everything feels, yeah, symmetrical. And so I think that kind of was, that's why we kind of moved out to the corners is to make it feel that way. But I wouldn't be opposed to discussing that with,
Yeah, I was just comparing the second image with the first image.
Yeah.
Second image has it pinched in on both ends, so that's my only question, I guess.
And the ends are closed, right?
closed.
The ends of the raceway are closed.
It'd be finished, so you can see the flat.
Yeah, so you see the black.
Yeah. Well, so are your preference is though to extend it to the end rather than have it end?
That's what our team was thinking, just to kind of make it disappear and feel as if the top of the canopy is extending longer. And like, so you don't notice there's a raceway there in the first place.
Yeah, my only concern would be if you were to look at it from the opposite side, you just see just a little bit of a rectangular box. But yeah, if you pull it in, maybe it disappears a little bit more. That's a small detail, I would say.
Yeah, from, if you're looking at from the left side, you're basically just gonna see the canopy and then yeah, I don't know if it's 4 inch or whatever.
If you go to page 5, or the other one.
Oh.
Yeah,
Yeah, just that bottom image.
yeah. I would agree that that would be nice to, pull that in so the, cause it looks like we'd almost get like 8 or 10 inches into that. If it could stop at the beginning of the P and the end of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like we can really put
Yeah.
so. Is that acceptable to you as a?
To me, I'm okay with it. I'm one person on our team, so I don't want to speak for the entire group either.
Would you be okay if we made a motion to that effect? And then what happens then if they don't agree with it?
We could do a subcommittee on this one. Because if not, then it would be, we'd have to continue on to the next month. Yeah.
I would rather not go down that.
Yeah, no, we're, okay.
But yeah.
We could do a subcommittee,
Yeah, because I think I was on.
so
Awesome.
we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that later.
Okay,
I'll
so,
let you know later, but. Yes, we-
Bill, would you be willing to re-volunteer for the
Yeah,
subcommittee? Yes, and, page, page nine?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think page 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll discuss that.
Okay, so, can you help us fashion the motion? Jeff?
So what it would be, would just be, motion to approve, application with, the condition of, bringing in the raceway to be at the end, so the P and P, I guess, or the size of the raceway to be of the, of the logo part.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we give them a little more flexibility and just say to modify the raceway, as per the discussion with the
Yes,
subcommittee,
we could all.
just in case there's some
Yeah.
extenuating circumstance that
Yes.
requires it needs to be all the way to the edge. Okay,
That's
sounds good.
perfect.
So
Yeah,
then you should be covered.
Okay, sounds good.
Theoretically, we won't have to.
Okay, so
Um,
basically, just to make sure I understand, if we can reduce it to the edges of the 2 letters, it would be approved? Or we would still need to go? to the
You're
front?
gonna, basically, what's gonna happen is Morgan's gonna have, sort of a mini group of us that are appointed by us, which will be Paige and Joe, to look at it, and you'll explain, yeah, we can do it, or here's the reason we can't.
Okay.
And then as long as your explanation is either, yes, we can do it, then you can go forward, or if it's, you can't do it because of a reason that is compelling to them, then you also don't need to.
Okay,
It's only if it's a reason that they don't think is compelling.
Yeah.
Okay,
So it's just, you go to the next step and have to go back to another
Okay.
meeting.
Yeah,
Sounds
and that may also be that you don't put it all the way in, you put it
Mhm.
partially because of some other reason, and then you can talk to them, and it's yes or no, or
Yeah.
they're reasonable people, so I think it'll all work out.
So you'll send me those materials, and then when that's submitted, I'll send it to the pretty good interview, and then we'll have a conversation.
thank you.
All right, so with that criteria that Steph has articulated, will someone make that motion?
Motion to approve COA 2501-063 with the condition that the applicant work with the subcommittee regarding the length of the race route.
Do I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor? Aye, opposed, and abstentions? Okay,
Wonderful.
good luck. Hopefully it all works out, and we won't see it.
One clarification.
Yes.
It is the other sign is
It's
approved, yeah.
approved.
Okay, don't worry about that.
Yep, you're good. That was good to go. All right, do we have 90 East Lincoln Street? All right. This one is going to be COA 2501184. And remind me, Steph, is that or is this?
No, this
This
is,
is official.
yes, this is
Okay.
official for transfer.
Okay.
We haven't gotten to.
Fair enough. It's too lazy to go back to my official application.
You got Steve first. Interesting. I didn't realize you were here for this one.
Yeah, I was like,
Well,
Like, wait, this was-
fair enough. So will you each raise your right hand and state your names for the record?
Steve Hurt with an order architecture, Dean Berlin, Urban Motor.
And you promise to tell the truth in your testimony this afternoon, the best of your ability.
Yes.
Excellent. All right, staff, what do we have?
I just need the material.
Oh, this one, okay.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I meant. I was like, oh.
Sorry, tech issues on my end. All right.
Looking to get a bit of difference.
So this is for 90 Lincoln Street. It's removal of the two-story porch roof with bare cornice of the facade of the building. Staff analysis, the following is taken from September 9th. We have meeting notes included, but officially I can review those after this.
Anybody need minutes? I think we're good.
At the November business meeting, commissioners made the following statements. Commissioners state that since this is a demolition, it will need a permit which will be thrown. Commission stated that since the railings are present, they will request applicant to look into building code for height of porch and see if it requires railings. If so, railing design materials will need to be submitted with application. They requested applicant to supply potential evidence of the molding that is there or the detailed description of the plan to restore the molding. Applicant submitted revised drawings, the respondent stating that the current height of the existing porch is under 30 inches and does not require a railing to be installed. The two-story porch appears in the 1921 Sanborn maps and therefore meets the threshold to be considered a historic architectural element on the property. Staff recommends to continue application, COA 25-01184, to allow time for applicant to consider design and maintain the porch on the elevation. Basis of stack practice 31-16-11, standards for alteration, and Italian Village Guidelines, porches, page 32.
All right, thank you. What do you got?
A question for Morgan is, I know that the porch shows up early, but it looked, when I looked at it, it looked like it was a one-story porch.
Yes, so originally it was one story, it looks like in 1901, and then was converted into a two-story. Or one
Sometime,
removed.
Yeah, so basically, I know we too have been in the neighborhood for 35 years, and this has always been an eyesore in this house. And so really, the owner brought us in and actually now after measuring it, we know why. Must have been like an L-shaped house, and then they added this other piece onto it. And then at some point, they put this two-story porch on it, which is bizarre. So, the current owner just wants to take that off. We met with the roofer out there and looked at the conditions of how, the porch roof frames into that. And it should be able to be removed with no damage to what's there, or they could easily replace, or if there's any cornice damage, they could fix that and match it with what's existing. So
What do you think will happen with the brick behind it? What kind of repairs will be necessary?
I don't know, because you can see the ceiling is coming in and hitting those lintels. So I'm hoping they didn't nail into those lintels. The brick's been sandblasted, so it's in pretty rough, I mean, with buildings, it's in kind of rough shape. So we're hoping that if there's any damage to the brick, they could just patch that, and just match it in, so.
And the two-story porch is built below the existing, what was box gutters that are still there, and they,
Okay.
somebody jumped them
Yeah.
whenever we did that.
So how will the gutters, how will that look?
It will be the same, so it's, that hung gutter just continues across the front of it anyway, so the porch sits under that.
So on that image right there, do you anticipate chipping in the brick where the beams are presumably dying into the structure?
Probably, once that comes off, we'll have to see how that looks and then patch in brick, so I think we can match that brick pretty carefully, so.
Yeah, like we said, this building's been sandblasted and then repointed, and we can make it look at least like that.
Yeah, well,
We have a low bar, so,
Yeah, fair enough. Other questions, Joe?
Have you guys looked at an option with a 1-story or 2-story porch?
I think the person that hired us is interested in getting this removed and selling this property. So I don't think that I don't think that you would want this client to build a porch.
And interesting, I kind of looked, down the road, a 1-story porch seems really odd on this building, but a 2-story porch also seems really odd. It's such an outlier in the neighborhood, so I think it'll be an interesting design problem once someone buys this and wants to put a porch back, so.
Yeah, I don't disagree, because you do have that half circle. That protrudes, and I think proportionally, I mean, the 2-story proportions right now just don't look good.
I know, so it's, and such a weird thing for the neighborhood anyway, having
Right.
this 2-story porch, so. So my guess is probably what will go back is that door becomes a window, it becomes a 1-story porch, and, try to maybe add enough detail to that porch that it kind of starts blending in a little bit.
I think it's a good resolution for now. I think our biggest concern was ensuring that it was treated properly once it was ripped off, like that it wasn't just ripped off and all the damage and was left, and there's not, and that we know that doesn't need a railing, like those were, it was just some of those concerns, and I feel better about those now.
I'd agree. I think everything you've already helps keep our worries about the demolition of it and everything. Yeah, no concerns.
Yeah, no concerns here.
Yeah, I don't have any concerns either. I think just a couple more things that are worth noting is the current condition of the house, of the facade, is unlike a lot of facades where you clearly understand how the porch would go back on. Like you can sometimes often see either a shadow line or different brick. And then you also have the original openings and lintels. This is definitely an amalgamation of things, including that Juliet balcony, where I think a much more robust consideration of the entire house needs to take place before we would just put on a porch. So my concern would be that even if we really liked the idea of the porch, it may not actually be the best solution right now without understanding what this entire house is going to become. So I think in this case, this is it's both figurative and literal addition and subtraction. And it's getting this thing off of theirs. I think it also looks like it's becoming unsafe. I don't know if it is yet, but it's just pretty dicey.
Yeah, well, before we go to motion for approval, we may kind of clarify the reasoning for the removal without replacement, just to, of course, set precedents for other properties. So just if we need to add anything else to that, just to keep that in mind.
I think there's pretty good photographic documentation showing
Yes,
it's about ready to.
but definitely wording, though, for sure, Brian, we do need.
All right, well, anybody, anything else from us before we? Anyone care to try and tackle a motion on this one?
Which number is this?
So we're just looking for.
Lincoln Street.
Yeah, number 4. So this is COA 2501184.
I'll make a motion to approve COA 250115490 East Lincoln Street as submitted based on photo documentation showing the lack of structural integrity provided through photo documentation and noting any sort of brick repair will be done to match in like kind and order.
And then reasoning for not, putting a porch back at this time would also be that.
And the reasoning would be based on structural stability, based on photos, and just taking a deeper dive into this at a later date.
Yeah, and if any, pick any guidelines or code specific for this.
Are you okay, Joe, with stating that there's no clear evidence nor direct architectural approach that is necessarily the best solution right now?
Yeah.
Just a, yeah, just a
Yep.
cover. Yes. So.
All right.
Clean that.
Do I have a
Second.
and all in favor? Aye. Opposed and abstentions. All right, are you gonna go out there right now? Don't stand under it.
Snowboat.
Yes. All right, thank you very much for your assistance. Do we have a first applicant come in?
We
Okay.
can circle back. I will say that,
Oh, you're next?
We are next.
Oh, well, let's just keep on.
Okay, that's what I.
Oh, there we go. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
All right, so,
And then we'll circle back to, number one.
okay, sounds good. Let's do, number 5, which is COA 250102685 Summit Street. And this is conceptual. right?
This is,
All right, now I'm figuring it out.
we're now on conceptuals at this moment. I mean, it worked out how the agenda was written. So, this is to construct a new 1.5 story, and I should have moved it to the next slide, so apologies. 1.5 story addition to the south side, existing 1.5 story home. Addition to have shed dormer, bay window on first floor. Go on before I get to each detail. Sorry. Right, modify rear addition to add 1.5 story addition to the rear along the existing alley. Rear addition to include 3-bay garage with living space above. Connection between existing home and garage to have a rooftop deck. Add new porch hood over existing front door at east elevation. Materials to include cement board siding, asphalt shingles, aluminum clad wood windows, overhead garage doors to be carriage house style. Staff analysis, property has received various applications or approvals in 2023. This included a new wood fence, siding, roof, windows, concrete, door, and side porch. At the November business meeting, the commissioners made the following statements. Design any further discussion at the hearing. The initial comment included that the commission was requesting to add a carriage house roof height in east elevation to see how much height comparison of the existing home and carriage house. They requested applicant to add lot coverage as well as variances that would be needed due to the site. The additions appear to be overpowering the existing structure, and they requested applicant to submit a possible Photoshop streetscape with the proposed design and current context with the neighboring buildings. I'm not sure. HPO staff note, it appears that the existing historic property is subservient from the proposed addition and carriage house and does not follow current city code and guidelines, specifically city code 31611, standards for alteration. Number 10, another possible new addition or alteration shall be accomplished so that its future removal will not impair the essential form and integrity of the structure. Staff recommends that the commission should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal at a future IBC meeting. No action is required.
Okay, thank you. And noting that the applicants have already been sworn in, what do you have to tell us about this?
So this is, one of the small cottages on, and it's probably old. It's on this big lot, so we're proposing to put a side addition on, and then it's also on this common alley that is shared with this three-story building on the corner of First and Summit. So we were trying to make the side addition as simple as possible, but have some livable space. Right now it's a story and a half. We would keep the eave height on the side addition. And then on the back, we were proposing to modify the existing addition to sort of make that a connector to basically have the carriage house sort of look like a detached structure. So this is how we're trying to take the small cottage and make it bigger and with this big garage on it. So from the, from the front, we're keeping those heights all the same, and then on the back, we're just popping that up a little bit to make it be sort of barn carriage house like.
Okay, do you want us to kind of just dive in, or do you have anything you want to tell us about the approach or
Why don't you dive in and then we'll.
Okay.
Respond.
Sounds good. Who wants to start? Volunteers?
Yes, I will. I'm nervous about the height, in the back. I understand the approach you're taking that you just explained. What worries me is the precedent and how much we worked on a different house on Summit. I mean, this might have been like 8 years ago, but of pushing and pushing and pushing against having anything taller. And I think it would just be really hard for us to change our minds, and allow something taller in the back. If it were a different structure, if it weren't maybe I'm not sure. I think I'd like to hear what everyone else has to say, but that is my biggest concern, is that the height is it's gonna overpower the original structure. And we have worked on a few of these to ensure that that doesn't happen.
Yeah, one thing of that, I think that was just a common thread when you're talking about business, that height. I think one thing that maybe could help the case is if, the carriage house that you're talking about, it's attached still, but if that second story, if it didn't cover that full carriage house and it was pushed back more, because that second story in over the garage doesn't connect to the second story of the main, does it?
Does not.
Okay. And the only reason I say that is then if you would be able to provide any kind of visuals that showcase that you can't see that roof line from the sidewalk in front, or so that it really helps that you read the small home as it is, and then depending, I don't know, so I don't know how much less of that second story you get, but maybe that could be some type of compromise to push that back so it's even further away, so you don't feel that from.
Or maybe even the roof line angled away so that you saw roof as opposed to kind of a big ones.
Yeah, angled away from the, I guess I don't know, like, from the east elevation.
I don't know who this question is for, so I'll just ask, is the little tiny addition on the back considered historical?
I think at the time for the initial review of this, we did find that it is an older edition. So that is a conversation to have. I cannot recall exactly. We can look up Sanborn information when we get to that point. But for when we were approving the siding, originally, I think that was a conversation. So,
And it is older and it steps down.
yeah.
The foundation is kind of funky on it, so it's one
Yeah.
of those things.
Yeah, the real reason
Not a
I ask is kind of going back to both Sharon and Paige's comments is not an effort to make this seem fake in any way. However, I feel like that alley almost could feel like sort of a street the way a lot of these funky alleys do. And so I'm just wondering if that is not a sacred piece, since we're rebuilding it anyway, if maybe it doesn't create this flat facade that goes all the way back into the rear addition and is recessed in a way that if you look down the alley, it's almost like, okay, that's another house behind this house, even though it happens to connect, since you're extending already to the south. I don't know how that would work, and it probably goes up your interior plan, but it just feels like for me, like, and I don't know what view this is, but this view, if I was walking down and saw that, And that was,
And then there's this
back, and then there was another building behind it. It wouldn't feel that different than a lot of spots where there are different scales and sizes of buildings. So, I don't know.
Reason the house was blurred out on.
Yeah, people can ask to do that. So I think everybody can judge for their own. I call it a false sense of security. Can't see it.
I actually saw that increased sense of security, like, I feel that now.
So but
That's a good point. That's interesting.
I don't know what to do, but I don't know what you think about
Elevation
that. That's what I thought too. I looked at it again. Oh, okay, that's not actually.
Yeah.
Because I will say, like, I understand and I know that with the zone in, with the, you know, we are trying to figure out how to increase our living spaces, make our village livable for families too, who want to stay, you know. So it's not that we don't want additional living space. We have to like stick with our guns visually at, you know, from a visual manner. It doesn't mean it can't work.
Yeah.
And then Joe will have some George templates ready for this, yeah.
How much fall is there from the front of the property to the back? So it looks like there's a little bit of slope that you might be able to play with to kind of.
That's what I was gonna talk about, is I think we could probably step that down, right, but so.
So I think you could probably do a combination of what Paige and Jason are talking about and play with the grade so that you can start to minimize that. The overall mass of the carriage house.
Yeah.
No, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, and I think Paige's point, they're not connected. We don't need a floor height.
Mhm. Yeah, that helps.
And we can also make it, I'll let Hank finish.
Joe Moore.
No, that,
Yeah, I think, is it like a line of sight study, kind of where you could see from like somebody's height level? Because with these, I guess with the drawing, it's hard to tell how much maybe that is poking out. And especially like, I think pretty people had said, if you're walking down the sidewalk, you know, would you even see that as is, or maybe you wouldn't, I'm not sure, but maybe that would help to see how far you have to potentially put it back.
Yeah, because there's a house on Hamlet that is a little cottage that has that kind of.
Exactly.
Taller, and yeah, and you don't really see it as you walk down because of the distance. So I think I think it's kind of taking all the ideas and incorporating them, so.
And that garage is much larger than that cottage.
Yes.
You do see it every morning.
Yes.
So, yeah, we understand we're trying to put a lot on here. So if the height is the issue, we can look at how to drop that with grade and just manipulating space. And then we were approaching reconstructing that one-story addition just because it was there. But if it's not sacred, it would be great if we could move it, if we could push that in and really make it the connector instead of just implying it's kind of like we were going to put a piece of trim on there.
Yeah, let's look. That was so much right here.
Can I, if these are two separate units and not one house,
It's connected on the first floor.
okay, so they're not like, it's not like an Airbnb or an apartment, they're like,
It's like a
Is that-
mother-in-law suite kind of thing.
so there won't be two trash. That's what I was getting at was trash storage.
Yeah, it's just
Okay.
one.
Yes, Steph, maybe if you can help us with that for the, in between now and next month, to just kind of get a sense of what's going on with that. I mean, to me, I was actually hoping that it wasn't in this case, just because it's not particularly additive to the structuring. It gives us the flexibility to allow, I think, a little more creativity in the way to deal with the two separate buildings.
No, which are the-
Joint buildings.
That'd be great. It's on this sort of rubble foundation. It's a foot lower than the main house. It's not well constructed.
Look at the stairs.
And the newer addition that, not on the back, but the side new addition, I think it shows right now it's 2-foot setback. Is that correct from the?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. I think that will feel pretty substantial enough to let that front facade breathe a little bit, but if there is any additional room, I think, it's nice to let that original, facade kind of stand out.
I think it gets a landscape solution too. I think if we can kind of start screening that and like making cottage pop. So
Yeah, yeah. And then any ideas on materials, would it be, trying to match the main home or the existing home?
We were proposing to just match that because the commission approved that, cement board siding. But if it helps anyone, we could do a board and batten or something different.
we can look at all those options and see what we think is best.
But overall, it looks like more of a, it's not gonna kind of look extremely different from the main home. The goal is to try to tie it together.
We're trying.
Yeah.
It's so simple. Let's keep it simple.
Yeah,
And maybe the carriage house looks a little bit different or something, yeah, so, yeah.
yeah, I think that would be nice. It's such a small piece and then kind of like a nicely scaled addition to the left that, rather than trying to really show what is old and new, I think that, it's okay to kind of, blend in with those things.
Is there a way on the floor plan just to adjust the second floor of that addition, facing east elevation where the windows all, just to balance it out a little bit? I know it's a bathroom, I think, in the floor plan.
We need to study that whole elevation and even that bay, and then that might change or simplify, so.
Yeah, I think it just starts looking a little busier. I think everything's just clean and.
The cottage is so simple, you want to kind of
Right.
inherit some of that, so.
Right. Yeah, we can adjust those.
Other thoughts from the commission, questions from the applicant?
Did someone have questions about the bay on the addition? I think I had to interpret some comments.
Carla. Wait, Commissioner Pratt, I'm sorry. Right.
Unfortunately, she's not.
Yes.
Okay. And if it's an
I
issue.
think it was just the conversation of the detailing of the bay window on that addition and in comparison to the original cottage. I think was maybe Commissioner Pratt's statement.
Great.
I think we-
All right.
I think it's good direction, so I think that's helpful.
Appreciate it. Thanks for coming in. Are we now going back to number one?
Yeah, that's the best one.
All right. Oh, do we have a 940 Hamlet? No, okay. Well, there we go. Not doing it. All right, so, number 6, is that correct, staff?
Yeah.
All right, 96 Hull Court. Do we have 96 Hull Court? Come on up and we'll get you sworn in. This is COA 2501070. You get you seated, we'll. Seven. All right, can you each raise your right hands and state your names for the record?
You come first.
Parker.
I'm Rachel Lindemann.
And you promise to tell the truth, because that's your ability, your testimony this second. Excellent. All right, staff, and then back to you. Go ahead, staff. And this also conceptual, the rest of it.
Conceptual, the rest. So this is for new construction. It's construct a 30-story, 3-story, single-family home with attached single-car garage and rooftop terrace. Materials to include windows, Marvin Altman G2, roofing materials, BGA slate line, shingles, and standing seam metal roof. James Hardy smooth horizontal vertical nickel gap siding. BF slate line, English slate, asphalt shingle, paired garage to be Cherokee Moore, Sandhill, and installation of paver parking space, drive and front way. This also is just with various recommendations, section 33, 32, 15, for RF area district to single family dwelling or other principal shall be situated in a lot of no less than 5,000 square feet, as well as section 33, 32, 19. Each dwelling or principal building shall front upon a public street. The existing lot does not have a street frontage on the downs, just as a context. The following is taken from August 12th, the County Village Commission meeting minutes, with the commission like me to read this whenever it's time for visual copy.
Anybody need those? We're good.
At the November business meeting, the commissioners made the following statements and recommendations for the design will be further discussion at the hearing. Initial comments include the front elevation is an improvement from previous conceptual design, more appropriate to the area. Commission stated the design has two types of architecture. They do not appear to be working together between the traditional and modern / industrial. Portions appear a little off since the neighboring buildings are narrower with larger windows, as the design is wide and smaller windows. The design does not feel proportionate. Staff sent applicant the Sanborn maps location to show the context of the structures that were previously present on this site, which are included in the updated materials. As can be seen, we can see these at the business meeting, but as we've seen in 1901, 51, there were 3 buildings located on the site, 2 being single-family homes and 1 being a 2 building. The commission should offer design feedback that could be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal at a future IBC meeting. No action is required at this time. Thank you.
All right, what do you?
I guess I'd like to focus on our two-dimensional drawings from the renderings still need tweak, obviously. But the front elevation seen here, what we've tried to do is study the widths of other structures around, and it seems like that 16-foot dimension is the most common. And so trying to break down the massing of this longer elevation and the 2 gable components that are 16-foot wide, with a similar size window, like that 3x5 size or almost 3x5, which is very common. And so that's kind of what we're getting at. And you know, looking back at the Sanborn maps, there were 3 dwellings on this. Again, trying to play that story that maybe these were 2 dwellings that were attached, theoretically. That's the reason for the varying styles. From our previous submission to now, we've removed the brick off of the rear component. And we're trying to disguise that rear component there from the front, being that the lot is kind of an anomaly. Putting the 3-story component sort of in the back to reduce the visual impact of it off of the 2 alley fronts. And playing reference to the scale of the structures across the street. Really, it's just that front side that faces the fronts of those other 2 homes. Right. Tried to simplify the materials where, the connectors are one material, the gable pieces are another material, in the garages for construction. So, we're matching pretty much E-heights in the neighborhood. Like height-wise, we put it down, obviously, from the very first submission. So I can add any questions.
Yeah, we can run through and see what everybody has to say. Anything you want to add?
I mean, not really. This is just kind of where I'm planning on living and dying, so.
All right, fair enough. So no pressure.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully, a very long time from now.
Hopefully.
Okay, who would like to dive in? Start talking about this?
I guess focusing on the front elevation, I do like that. I think the proportions of the windows seem a little bit off, maybe a little bit taller.
I think it's the facing.
Pulling in.
Yeah, because most of the other homes in the neighborhood, they're very close.
Yeah.
And that was a floor plan
Yeah,
component, but as I was doing, we pull them together. It doesn't.
actually, yeah. Yeah, so I think for me, it's kind of maybe just pulling in,
Yeah.
look at proportions, because looking at the surrounding context, those windows are closer and they do appear taller. So maybe on that second floor with maybe there's the
Yeah.
push and pull that you can do there as well. But I do like the front elevation. I think that's come together pretty nicely. I'm still struggling a little bit with the right side elevation. I think it's feeling too jammed up.
Okay.
Very technical term.
Which one is that one, Joe?
The one on the left over there.
No, gotcha. Okay. Oh, I see.
So I feel like, the proportion of the traditional looking element looks good, but I think it's the way the modern piece is kind of connecting to it, and then the roof detailing with the dormer that's beyond. It's just not looking compatible right now for me. And then I think
A little bit.
yeah, it's not really doing much for you on the modern home, and I think removing that will actually help a lot.
Okay. It's funny, I thought. From the last time. What do you think?
My big concern a couple of meetings ago was the height, and I think we're there with that, so bring all the architects to architect.
Sounds good. The only thing I'll say before we keep passing down the line, totally agree with Joe on that hip roof. I think the thing for me is if we're going to kind of merge this modern building in the rear with the more traditional in the front, I think the modern building should just be modern. And I think trying to have like these nods to historical characteristics, it's just not big enough of a building, I think, for that. So one thing on that note, and the architects may disagree with me on this, but they're undoubtedly right if they do. The garage piece that has the gable, I don't know which side that is exactly. I guess that's the west side maybe. I almost feel like once you're past the front facade, then the whole thing to me could be modern instead, or at least more industrial looking. Again, that's people disagree. I'm not like gonna die on the hill or anything. It just feels like that's almost like it starts to make the rear of it look more fake, or the front of it look more fake, as opposed to if it was just another style, then it would look intentional with those two joint gutters.
Yeah, I think, yeah, the hardest part about this one is kind of creating that separation between the modern element and the back. But not letting the front facade just feel like paper thin on the building. So I do like how you were turning the corner, but I wonder if somehow, like on that right elevation, I don't know how you, I don't know, prescriptive way, but somehow you get more of a separation from the modern piece of that front facade, and however far you turn back, it feels like one unit. And then like,
I mean, my gut says go all glass, but I don't know if that's feasible from the. My client clearly does not.
Yeah, and I don't think it's materiality for me. It's just that it's like the physical structure.
yeah, it's just in the side gable having the flat modern, like very so close to that, I think, and yeah, just creating that separation if you are moving forward with these two different types, which I think you probably did that on the front because of how we were wanting that height to come down, but the overall height has come down already.
Oh, yeah.
Correct?
So,
Yeah. And I mean, having that eave line does help, like visually bring the height down as well. But that's not, I don't think any of us were against like a fully modern piece
Sure.
because it's something new. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is how do we make these things connect, but visually give some separation, all the while not letting this just feel like a paper thin facade of the historical piece that we have there. Which is, I don't know the answer, but, and I'd agree with the garage. This is what we're talking about. Yeah, that could be, owned by the kind of more modern piece. And then some of the things like on the right side, I think it's similar to what you were talking about, that gable piece, it seems like there's some modern elements to it. Like just the way it's framed out and stuff. I think that if you're going, that one should just feel like the more true to the older structure and let the modern piece be the modern piece. Kind of is like that was the difference. More of the typical like detailing, I guess, would be attached to what it looks like kind of the history.
Thanks. That's right.
Yeah, no comment.
What question do you have for us?
trying to think of anything, because I think she's covered a lot here. You said that the garage should be more of the modern element, to be less stylistically muddy on the right side gable area. And I can agree with those. I really have no questions.
And I guess from a procedural standpoint, I mean, conceptually, if the site is okay, I mean, personally, getting the variance.
It's a good question. And I think, you know, from my perspective, I'm comfortable. Those are pretty typical variances. Staff, do you feel that's appropriate if we decide to move forward? Because those are, I don't think those are particularly design dependent variances.
No, I don't believe so. I can double check. And then, of course, those would just need to come for recommendation, though.
Yeah, so,
Have them and
but we don't actually have them.
I think you submitted them in your first application.
First application, but yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm scrolling back.
I'm with you.
Maybe we've got them on the cover sheet.
Oh, they're on the cover sheet. Sorry, sometimes they just list them in a Word document.
So, in between iterations, I think we eliminated one of the variances required for the variance.
Nice.
So, like 3-2, maybe the bottom say the first variance is a funny one since, you know.
No, it's,
Most, what was
these things happen all the time.
Yeah,
this is a very short list of variances for an infill house.
Yeah.
So I guess my point would be, since they've already submitted an application to have these requests, would it be okay for us to go ahead and recommend this to BZAP, since we're not actually authorizing it anyway?
I mean, since it's technically conceptual, it would not be best practice to move it as a recommended application at this time, just since it does not come as a request for action would be our recommendation.
So the process should be,
Once you file a formal application,
okay,
that is for review and approval as opposed to conceptual,
Yes.
then we would be able to act on those. And potentially, again, you can't promise anything, we could potentially act on those separately. We do that often. Where, because it has to be a separate motion. So like, just say you came in next month with a review application for official review and approval, and we decided that in discussion with you, you wanted to continue that for another month to make refinements. That doesn't mean we couldn't vote on the recommendation for variance. However, we only wrote on a recommendation, then that goes to BZAP and they have to vote for the real thing.
Right.
So
okay,
we don't have the power to grant a variance. We don't have the power.
right, understood.
If you could list the variances on a separate sheet,
Yeah,
if there's only two, but that allows staff to more easily let us separate it.
It's a big move from here, because originally it just came as the request for just the design. So we did pull the recommendations off of. I think so.
Typically, we're used to a list of like 15, so.
Yeah. We just,
So one good thing about this,
I mean, it's just like many sites around Time Village. There's something weird about it.
so as a ground, the same thing.
Yeah, it's always something weird. And this is not done. Okay, other questions for us, before you?
I mean, I
go?
guess
think we're
from
fine.
the stylistically on our more modern piece. I guess I'm trying to figure out the best way to attack it. And is there a precedent in the area that y'all can think of that might be something that we should look at?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think there are a couple ones you can look at. You know, in Jeffrey Park, there are a number of more modern style buildings. There are also a variety around the village. There is one, I believe, on Third that is west or east, I'm sorry, shoot, I can't talk right now. East of Fourth, I think that's where it is. Hold on, let me look.
Like 3 on 6
Yeah, on Sixth.
side.
Then there's also the ones that are right by the freeway.
Yeah,
Yeah, you know, what we were originally looking at. Getting moved on the two side of it all.
Oh, no, I'm just thinking for modern.
no, yeah, that's what I was
Style.
thinking, something that's had an addition that might be.
Yeah, I mean, then there's one coming in right now, that's the next applicant that, is that circumstance. But as far as it all, like, I was just thinking of just for the modern elements.
Did you, the one by Seventh Sun? Was that in?
The garage. No, the. I don't.
Staff can help you find some too. Yeah, yeah, there are. I was just thinking for all, for complete modern
I was
ones.
just thinking more about the combination.
Yeah, but definitely, I would try though going down Third and Sixth in that area, because some of the ones on Sixth sort of have that sort of approach, not necessarily. But they're sort of a mix of styles
Yeah.
in that zone, so that's Third Avenue, not Third Street. So, yeah, I would try those. And what was the last one you just mentioned?
But Dave Betts' old house, like by Son, was that a new build?
And I think the front was old. Yeah.
Um,
Anyway, they're around.
Okay.
Yeah, I can help you try.
I think that's differ. No,
Yeah,
Okay. So,
and totally different scale, the one that, it was just mentioned in the last one, there's a small house on the inlet that is a traditional cottage, so it has a more modern addition behind, but it's kind of different from what you're doing, so.
Yeah, and the helpful fit us in the space.
I mean, I think we're all amenable to figuring out how it can work, so.
we can take these tweaks and our next submission should
That's up to you.
go for the,
That is, I'll let you decide in consultation with staff. but-
I mean, you can take the tweaks, adjust some drawings, but, again, I do always like to recommend to applicants, if those commission, I'm coming with some, maybe just a couple of options of maybe iterations of your design. We'd like to come back conceptually or request for action, based on this feedback.
Yep, all right.
And we can talk more about what, details would be coming for request for action.
Yep. Seems like it's heading in the right direction, so thanks for all the hard work. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so, let's move on to our last conceptual for the day, 58 Warren Street, which is COA 251165. We just settled in. If you could raise your right hand, state your name for the record.
Bill Burke, ARB Design.
And you promise to tell the truth in your testimony to the best of your ability to say.
I do.
Excellent. All right, over to staff and back to you.
So this is for new construction, it's expansion of existing two-story single-family home, enlarging garage, adding 2 bathrooms and bedrooms. Addition extends off the 1992 addition by approximately 4 feet into the rear yard, which will include a new second story and roof deck above existing 1 story. Add 3-story above a portion of the existing 2-story structure. And all new exterior materials will match the home's existing material palette. At the November business meeting, the commissioners made the following statements. Commissioner requested the HPO staff look into additional information on the age of the brick addition in the rear. They requested context of the street, the proposed height to include the heights of the neighboring properties in comparison to the proposed addition, and height difference between the historic structure with new addition height. Commissioner stated that typically they do not allow an addition to overpower the existing structure, which makes the existing structure subservient to the new addition. And they're just wondering if the trees are to remain on the property. Applicant submitted a streetscape showing the heights of the neighboring buildings and provided a 1998 set of stamped COA drawings for the existing larger addition. The smaller brick addition is shown in this comments as well. This is the continues. Oh, thank you. Oh, so. Just double check on that. Alright. Staff reviewed the information on the file for the age of the rear brick addition. There are no issued COAs involving alterations to the rear brick addition. But the addition does appear in the 1982 Italian Building Commission building summary form, included the material package and on 1891 Sanborn fire insurance maps. The commission should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for a future IBC meeting. No action is required.
What do you have for us?
Okay, so unfortunately, my client wasn't able to attend tonight, but I think from his standpoint, the overall goal for this property for him is to get 2 new bedrooms. Right now, it's a single bedroom with a studio. His goal is to turn this into a 4-bedroom property, if at all possible. It's obviously a pretty unique project for the neighborhood, or really any neighborhood. The previous owner was an architect. He basically did these drawings with this concept for the client when he sold him the property. And the client has hired me to sort of represent them and to see and get some, test the waters of the viability of the project. And obviously the massing is the point of conversations. But any other feedback you'd offer that, would essentially allow us to get into a point that it works for these needs.
Okay. Anything else, that they wanted you to share about the design specifically, or should we just kind of dive in?
Yeah, so I mean, the design, Rob Lizzie was the previous homeowner, and this is the previous COA was from the late nineties. The modern edition is very unique. The client is very much in love with that style, and so the goal would be just to continue that same detailing pattern to the back of the property. I guess the only thing I also would mention from a conversational aspect is, my optimism with this is that all of the addition that we're talking about is behind the primary structure. And is visible from the street, but not contributing to the street fabric per se. And so that, if this was going to be right next to the existing building, I probably wouldn't have brought this to you today. But the fact that it's simply behind what we consider the original primary structure, we think that there is some potential.
Yeah, and just one last question before everybody kind of dives in. I think we're a little unclear on what happens with this extended brick addition on the back. Is it the intention that that is completely demolished, or is that somehow incorporated into this addition?
Yeah, so we would incorporate the structure of it. So
Okay.
first floor, the brick would remain. We played around with leaving the brick versus recladding it in the more modern sort of facade, which you kind of see when you flip back and forth between those two, right? So the bay window stays, the brick will stay, but will be covered. So essentially not a contributing factor. Leaving the brick felt, just, although it would be respectful of the structure, it felt a little awkward from a design standpoint.
So then, yeah, clearly there's some parts of it would be removed, like obviously the chimneys in the middle of the windows.
Yeah, we would take down the chimney and take off the roof.
Understood. Okay, sounds good. Okay, who wants to dive in on this? And I will say, unfortunately, one of the more vocal is not the right word. Somebody who had a lot of comments last in the business meeting is not here today, so there could be more comments that you want here too. All right, anybody care to?
Is it possible to do some street studies, taking a look at the way the proposed new massings will kind of play with the adjacent properties?
If we did a very quick study, I think it's sort of small, and this is additional information I think you requested from the business meeting. So right now, and this is sort of photo documentation, so give or take a foot probably, these numbers. The primary structure right now is, sorry, long day, 25.8. As drawn right now, the new proposal will be 32 feet in the back. From overall massing standpoint, we think we could probably take 3 or 4 feet off of that, just from redesigning that back addition portion, which would bring it essentially down below the adjacent roof lines. Obviously, a modern flat roof versus the gables and hips on either side, but we can bring on the overall height of it. If that is would help.
I guess my only other concern is really just, on top of the massing, the scale of the property, and adjacent is just kind of that one-story addition on the back. What's really happening to that? Is that dramatically goes through the way this building reads, at least from that perspective, thinking at it from the front of the beginning.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time reading your, like height perspective, because I think that you're showing, the existing structure at 25.8. But that includes that's just the brick house. It's not showing, this entire massing isn't being added. I think that it'd be really helpful if it was like, here's the front of the house, here's what exists, here's what it's existing, and here's what's new, instead of just highlighting the original structure, because that's not what's there right now. So that I'm a little confused on that. But yeah, it's certainly, this view does not help the cause in any way. I think it's going, 7 feet. The 7 foot difference is way way too high, or, 6.6.5 foot difference is, it's too much. So that's kind of what I'll be looking for is I'm kind of less worried about what's going on in the back architecturally. I'm more worried about the street view of ensuring that we stay subservient to the historic structure to the extent that it has already been modified.
Yeah, if you mind going back to the first couple of elevations, I think it shows the current height. And right now, the highest point of the home, I believe, is the stair tower. So it's probably one of the first drawings. Get back. Couple more. That's one more. Okay. So this is the current front elevation. You'll see the sort of metal clad brick stair tower. That's currently the highest portion of that standing seam metal. You've got sort of the gridded structure to the right, which it's currently 22.6, and so we are basically talking about bringing that up another 8 to 10 feet, depending on where the roof line goes. And I completely understand the from this elevation, the primary structure does become very subservient to the addition. When it's in from the artist for we added kind of a small site plan was to sort of give the perspective that it does sit very far back from that structure. And so if you're walking down the street, all it does have a very big driveway, so you will see this property. But if you're walking down the street on Warren, you're not like, what's that big building already? It's just very far back. So that was sort of one of our discussion with the client, of bringing this to, to get some feedback on what the temperature of the water would be.
I think when you look at that south elevation, that back 1 story really becomes this pretty tall structure. And unfortunately, it doesn't really help the cause when you're looking at it 2D. So I think maybe some 3D studies would kind of help make the argument. And I think if you can lower that so it's below the ridge of the historic home, that could help go a long way.
And we said the tree is staying.
The tree in the front of the city, the one that, yeah. And back to your point about that structure, maybe question overall, obviously that back structure is brick. Is there a world where if we extend it up in brick, it becomes more amiable? Or does that feel more false to the history of the structure?
Should be deleted from
Yeah.
it. Intention to break.
You get that sense of history.
Yeah, that's why we took one of the other, the other direction, which is modernizing.
Yeah, I think if you modernize it, and I think I'm still kind of toying with that whole idea, but I think the massing of it still seems too tall for me. And the 2D elevation really just reinforces that, unfortunately, in a negative way for me.
Yeah, you can stop on the, go back to that, yeah, I guess, like you said, this is a very unique building, and I think part of the beauty is that there's no competition between the new piece and the existing brick, and even though that stair tower is taller, like even the way that its roof is pitched the way it is, so that it kind of read it as the roof rather than the whole height being a facade, helps maintain the brick portion, existing portion being more prominent. When looking at the site plan, I wonder, this being proposed is all upward additions. Is there any reason, so looking here, the footprint, basically the top rectangle is the historic building, right? And the bottom square is the modern addition, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
I guess, I think from a historic perspective, is there any reason that all the new addition part can't be extending that modern piece, rather than more so covering up that chimney and those historic pieces on this north end, I guess. I think just because I think why this modern piece works so well is that it's paired with something so modern and different like this, because it's juxtaposed next to this very old almost like from the back, a little cottage brick piece, and then the very simple front rectangular brick piece. So I encourage to look at maybe some options there, because I think probably the reason the homeowner loves it is also because of that. Or it might be part of what they love about it. It makes the modern piece feel even if it's more different and stand out with that. So I think it's just hard for me to see that, north end, I know it's on the back, but being fully covered up, it just makes, you lose that small scale. And instead of these like building blocks of the modern piece, that's the addition, now it just feels like this large, kind of chunkier addition rather than kind of all these layers that was there before.
Sure.
That's
Yeah.
my initial thing.
No, I think that, I like this comment thing, but so I guess the interpreting that, that's using the existing height of that modern structure, but extending it back further to accomplish the goals of the function rather than up.
Those extra pleasure, the main goals,
Mhm.
I think just take some of this, a little relief for the existing historic building.
Sure. Yeah, I definitely bring that back to the client. And right now, it's a sort of, not a pass-through garage, but it's garage door on both sides.
Yeah,
And that was just sort of, I think, a design element at that point.
yeah,
I don't think he doesn't drive into the backyard. There's no reason to have that door. So I think that there's a possibility where we do a two-story addition on the back, just not make it taller, just deeper.
yeah, yeah. Takes up some yard square footage, but,
Yeah, and again, this is a modern addition to a historic building, so we're pretty flexible with regard to how that works. At the same time, I think that this was a modern addition at a time when there weren't a lot of modern additions being done to any of these buildings. So if there's some way you can almost keep a nod more effectively to the way that this thing has functioned for some time, and maybe by extending it to the rear, that's a better way to kind of maintain those original proportions that were already in place. Again, I'm not trying to argue that this is a historical addition. When I'm saying this, though, it's definitely indicative of a time and time village that was different. That this was a incredibly unique thing at the time, whereas now we see a lot of options of modern architecture and things like that, and different industrial type production. So, what other questions do you have for us?
About materiality. So consider this materiality just continuing it? When you say to the paying homage to the original, I think without making too many building blocks on the site, we would probably want to keep it that portion more consistent. It's sort of a 1x2 seer grid. That makes sense.
I will say, I think that like the metal, like the existing, whatever that framing, what,
This is cedar.
it's cedar.
It's like a painted panel and a cedar
Okay.
1x2 trim,
It's like a board mat almost.
Oh, wow, okay.
board batten.
So it'll all be fixed.
Yeah, the deficit maintenance to be done for the
All right.
existing. It's a detail I've never seen before.
I thought it was metal this whole time. I was like, why did you put all this metal?
I thought it was metal too.
This makes more sense.
Oh, it's pretty guy.
I don't know why he didn't want to come back and do this somewhere.
Probably because of this.
Yeah.
Well, he sold the house and moved away, so I'm sure he would have been. But no other questions from my side.
Okay, sounds good.
Actually, one more for staff, sorry.
Yes.
But to turn this back around.
Yes.
When will we need a new submittal?
Great question. So that should be, deadline is technically,
Today.
Wednesday. So you have an additional week
Okay.
after, so the 19th. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, you have the 19th at 4 p.m. You would like to submit for additional conceptual or an action.
We'll come back with conceptual for sure.
I was.
So the client, this will be a process.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Yeah, appreciate it. Okay, new business. We have one. Do you want to take care of old business first?
Before we do that, actually, we could just ask if anyone's here for 940 Hamlet. If not, we can continue that before we go.
I can do that.
And can you remind me why this one didn't make it to staff?
Yeah, what happened with this one?
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
Maureen, can you remind me why this one didn't make it to staff?
yeah, we can, let's actually review it if we would like to. No, you're
Yeah.
correct, it's a good point. So this was not moved to staff at the time because what the applicant submitted for his tree selection was not technically a shade tree. Commissioner Trot had concerns about that. Additionally, we wanted information on some maybe drainage, if there needed to be gravel behind the retaining wall, what the steps were going to be for the removal of the tree because the roots were integrated into the retaining wall. I will say the applicant did submit a site plan, just kind of showing where he's going to remove and where he's going to propose the new tree. And he has some additional information on updating the tree as well as for the retaining wall itself. What did you say?
A red point, red
Yes.
maple, wasn't it a shade tree?
No, he originally, oh, thank you. No, you're fine, you're fine. I was like, Nick updated material, so I'm a little. Apologies. No, it was originally informed you, was what he recommended, or what he proposed.
Yeah.
But he did change it to a red point, red maple, so that is a shade tree, which we would be fine with, of course. He did say, stump grinder will be able to address the roots, the retaining wall appears to be quite secure and drains well. He doesn't anticipate grout being required for that.
But your concern is that the reason it's okay is because the roots are, as the roots decay, this retaining wall might start falling. Is that your concern?
We just saw that the retaining wall was separating.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this location.
Mhm.
So we were just wanting to double check to make sure whoever's gonna be removing the tree on steps, where us are concerned, and I think some commissioners are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best thing you can do at this point is just, point out to them if this process causes damage to that, then
Come
they're
back.
gonna have to come, they're gonna have to repair it to some extent,
Yeah.
so.
And that would be fine as well. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have any other issues other than that, so.
We can't make them build a new retaining wall just to take out a tree.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think from talking to the applicant, this was his plan, and I think we'd be fine with moving it to approval today, so we should be.
Yeah, works for me. All right, does anybody want to make a motion on this one?
Move 940 Hamlet Street, COA 2501053 to staff.
Just prove it.
Oh, can we just move for approval? You said move to staff approval, we can just approve it.
Did I say, I meant to say. approval,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like, why not?
I meant to.
Okay,
say,
um,
we're just throwing it
okay.
out. We're not. I'm sorry.
All right, move to approve, COA 2501053, with the condition that staff just notify the applicant that we believe that that there might be something that happens to the retaining wall. It may become a little unstable, and if it does, they need to come back to staff. And we will approve the red point, red maple as the chosen tree.
Do we have a second?
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye, opposed? And abstentions, so motion carries. We're good. Okay. And now we have some new business, yes?
We do, and I do need to pull up those materials, so if you don't. remember
All right.
The applicant, or.
And if you, I think we need to swear you, let's just swear you. Yeah. Can you raise your right hand and state your name for the record?
Dan DeLango.
And your promise to tell the truth in your testimony this afternoon?
I do.
Excellent, okay. And then we're going to explain
Yes.
what if anything we're actually approving.
So we're not showing, this is not for approval at this time.
That's what I thought.
Business, if you. If you want to talk, everyone's like,
Oh, these are interesting.
Yeah, so this is just for conversation,
Yeah.
conversation piece for the new business item. This is just for Tiny Village Society. Oh, it's fine.
today.
No, it's all right. So this is for Town Village Society. Yeah, for 6 signs to be installed in various locations. Of course, our applicant for this can discuss this further.
All right, let's do it. What do you got?
Yeah, so we have 6 different signs, correlating to, different areas where there were historic images. And all these are, like pretty accurate to like, kind of, there's a structure here, we have an old image, and lining them up in the locations that they are or were. And so nothing is, it's designed, but it can be changed, nothing's printed yet. And also, exactly where they're going, where they're affixed and attached to. Also open to suggestions or comments on that. Most of the locations are kind of in like an urban area where there's mostly concrete, so not certain that like pole in ground is feasible in all of them. I did, for the record, also reach out to DPS, because all these are in public right of way. Nothing's on private property, so I'm not 100% sure on the approval process for that. So if anyone has any insider comments on that. They're 3x2 horizontal signs, non-rusting, non-reflective. Yeah.
Yeah, so, on the approval process, yeah, definitely work through them. I think one of the challenges you might have is like the directionality, and where they are in relation to other signage. So definitely you're gonna want to talk to them about that.
Okay.
First of all, I think generally cool idea. I'm more interested in us talking about how we're gonna place them. And I think as you go through with DPS, any place there's already an existing pole that makes sense is probably gonna be the best thing, just because easiest.
That's what I was thinking.
I mean, we can, for our perspective, we don't really have much control what happens in the right of way anyway. That said, like the pound-in stakes are fine, they're just never gonna stay straight up.
Right.
And so it's gonna start to look kind of janky pretty soon, because they're just gonna tip, whether someone's gonna just lean against them, whatever. So if it's possible, I know it's more expensive, clearly. If it's possible, they have some sort of actual pole that's put in the ground, like a plain black round pole that you could clamp these on. I just think it'll look better for longer. Because I could envision if we do use just sort of the standard signpost things, like 5 to 7 years from now, they'll probably be in pretty quick, wonky spots. So anyway, that'd be my thing. I would just try to find as many street poles or lampposts where you could legitimately put them on there, that way we don't land.
Yeah.
So that's my take.
My other take is, I mean, it's looking like this isn't the case, but if you could talk to the private property owner across and get something placed on their private property instead of in the public right of way, that is also gonna be easier.
Yeah, for sure.
On this, I would also look at how the city, I mean, she just might not be interested in helping because it's not all within the CID. But I know that the Short North Alliance is obviously good at working through these things. Is this public art? Could make this easier for you. Something to think of, right? No,
Technically not. be.
no, it's not allowed.
Just since I work with
Okay.
public art stuff,
They're
it's
gonna
not
say no?
technically falls under that category.
All sorts of things. Yeah. And then
So, there.
do you think, are there just basically holes in this sign that have bolts that go through them? Is that how it works?
There will be like on 4 corners essentially. And
Oh, okay, so there would actually have to be then.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah, right.
trying to figure out how, because this is like 24 by 36.
Pretty big.
Yeah, so I'm trying to figure out how that would work in some of these placements. So it'd be like facing the sidewalk and then you just have this large of a sign. Or just a blank back facing the road.
Not allowed.
It just feels like a very large footprint for some of these.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be too big.
yeah, small.
Yeah, I mean, 3 feet by 2 feet, that's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's 10 foot by 18 inches maybe or something, or it's small.
the attachments is pretty critically with that.
Yeah.
That's the thing too, if you're like, cause the pole, how did you think one of those wooden? Those guys.
Those are
one
pretty
like-
thick, but a lot of them aren't that.
Yeah.
The interpretive signs typically around that size a little bit smaller, but of course, those are more, down lower, and then have their own life sign. Those themselves.
Here's the other thing.
Is it-
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if it's smaller, you'll have more success, like with getting a consistent line to, and easier to kind of directionally point that, so it's not in the sidewalk where it's obstructing path of travel
Or vision.
or vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
And not to make this like way more complicated for you, if it's vertical, you're also gonna have a lot less problems with it blowing and coming off of its moorings and with obscuring the sidewalk. One of the things the DPS is certainly gonna be concerned about is if it's taking up sidewalk width. So if it's narrow and it
Like, yeah, tall.
tall and skinny, that's gonna be like, I can imagine it where it's just like almost like the width of the image is, and then there's a couple bullet points below. It may not have the name, and I don't know, maybe the Discover the History of Italian Village, like has to run up the side in a colored band or something. I just feel like there's a way you could do it that isn't gonna be hard.
Yeah.
The wind thing is massive, because it'll rattle right out of the bolts and just strip them
Yeah.
right out.
That's a good point. I think we will go smaller then. That's a good suggestion. And I might have misspoken. There might also be other mounting formats where maybe there's something in the middle. It's been long since.
Yeah, just, I'd look into it. I mean, that's the big thing. Yeah, that could be a challenge.
And the vertical really would probably help get rid of that wind shear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool idea.
Thank you. In terms of the design of it, do you have any comments on that? They're pretty much all the same format.
Personally, I would love to see something that made it look like it had a little bit more of a cohesive background to it. And I can't give you like a specific element what that should be. It just feels a little bit like a blank piece of paper. So whatever that would be, whether it's like a colored bar behind the title block or something, that'd be my take. I'm not a graphic designer.
Yeah, I would see what a graphic designer could draw. I think there's one in the village.
That might shift with the sizing.
The sizing.
Yeah.
The cool thing would be that if there was a visual element to it that was distinct, most likely some kind of color, where people would recognize what it was driving by or halfway down the block. So that once you saw one and then you're like, oh, there's another one of those things. I gotta go there and check it out. And I'm a little worried just because it doesn't have any kind of like vibrant, grab your attention color behind it, that somebody might not notice it or pay attention to it. So
Yeah, like the current reminds me of like the brown, it's Ohio historic sign, but
Yeah,
sure it's.
you know it's a historic sign, even if you don't.
If you're gonna read it.
Yeah. Photos are awesome too. I love it. This one blows my mind at the summit.
I know.
Like I had no idea that there was just a house in the middle of the business zone.
Yeah.
That is wild.
There are like at least one or two houses taken out.
Yeah, I mean, these are amazing photos. It's so cool. I love the idea of having people be able to see this around the village. I mean, I could easily see many more.
And this photo is great because like this is recent too.
Yeah, right.
Like that was 6 years ago, 7 years
Yeah.
ago.
The church,
Yeah.
Right, yeah, it's pretty shocking.
super cool. This is a really great idea. Thank you. Yeah, so it's just like anything, all the details are what get you at the end, trying to physically get them up.
Yeah, so I know. With the color aspect, I did think about like some like Italian kind of flag motifs, but it just seemed a little too on the nose.
Whatever you think, I'm just
They're
thinking something that like,
Yeah.
something that lets people recognize it from a distance.
Definitely.
So, and that may end up being, again, I'm not a graphic designer, but a lot of times it might be like a darker color with white letters to have that contrast, and then have the paint, the rest of it be obviously like dark on light. That would be the print people are reading. I mean, the one thing that the advantage is if you can get someone to notice it from far and then still walk up to it, you're gonna have to walk up to it to read it.
Yeah.
It's not like you're gonna rear drive by in the car.
I hope not.
So.
In terms of next steps, once we make these changes, should I come back for like approvals? Obviously, if there's a DPS thing.
Yeah, so definitely we would recommend, getting confirmation, from DPS with, again, the revised drawings and or the revised design for them to see, of course, the different sizing, as well as maybe AEP potentially on some of like the
Yeah.
electrical poles to see if that's possible, because they would be owners of said poles. So, getting confirmation from them with the revised design, and then once you have that, to come back with a new application, or with an application. And then we will figure out how to divvy it up, if we're gonna kind of keep it all together, or we might have to separate them in different addresses. I'm not sure yet. We still have to kind of figure that out. That also is why we decided to do new business with this, to kind of have that discussion further. But that would be for our recommendations.
Good to see in the 1920s, they'd already planted the official street tree of the main thoroughfares in town village, high power poles.
It doesn't look that much different.
Yeah, that's the Fourth Street tree. That's amazing. That's really cool footage.
There's,
But you can email us and we can kind of discuss further, but definitely for that information. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, anything else that we can help with to move along?
now I think I just gotta make those changes, and they were all helpful suggestions, so thank you all, and yeah, we'll all be back.
All right, good luck. I'll see you around. All right, what else, staff? What else you got for us?
Nothing new to the agenda. We do have some new changes though, so we are doing some staffing switching.
Okay.
A reason also why I make this switch today. Their Kirk has been staffing German Village for 3 years. Almost 3 years now, so we're doing a little switch up, and Nick will be your new staff.
Oh, great.
Yeah, for Italian Village.
Fine,
Moving to a historic resource, what?
fine.
Yeah. So we would historic resource, which is- I don't know about that, like what comes back, no, but.
We're going to HRC.
Yeah, HFC. So we're switching up a little bit here and there, but it's been great. Of course, tackling German is quite fun, so they've got your back, so no worries.
Sounds good. Yeah, just let us know what we can do to make it easier for you.
Again, I think some of you have. They're wonderful.
All right,
Yeah.
sounds good. Well, we'll look forward to seeing emails from you. Yes.
Are business meetings being canceled?
Oh, yeah.
They're not per se, they're kind of gonna be like on a need to need basis, so if we don't have quorum technically, we're gonna try not to hold business meetings, because it's kind of a time that we can move things to staff approval. We've been pretty good, I think, about having quorum for business meetings, that's good. Unless also there's like some large caseload or some contentious cases that we might need to kind of go through at a business meeting, so that's kind of like a,
Definitely if we could do it to shorten meetings, I think it's great.
yeah.
It typically does.
And at times had different doing that, so, yeah, it just had.
Yeah. And then the other thing, I noticed that we thought an old roster. I don't know what site you said. The old roster.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and we have a.
Yes, we have a seat to fill, so thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we both talked about it there during this, so I think that some people said there is something.
so we do get some feedback, we do also have our pool of people that will come see if they can fill in that seat. I'm
Oh,
not sure about about Time Village. Owner, liver person, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, but I think we got that, so,
We did.
yeah, so that's good to know if you're talking to anybody. It's on the website. I don't remember.
What's the roster?
Here's the site, what we had talked about was because Brooke was technically under architect, Joe was not. As long as we fill those seats, so that Joe, I think you two will now both be under architect.
So, yeah, so
And
Joe,
that means it frees it up to anybody who is basically a resident or works.
Cause that is
Italian.
what society would like, is that this be filled with someone.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the whole thing is we're supposed to try to match, but it's silly to not have the architect be in the architect slot.
yeah, well, the seat that Joe did fill, or Christian Marty, whatever, we're casting this now, but Joe filled with architect, resident, and then, It's third category. That was that, see,
Yeah,
and
worker
Brooke was
business
just
owners.
architect specifically.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's right.
yeah. So then Joe, yours is just the architect, so it kind of opened up, for instance.
Right, so the criteria for the new slot is basically,
It's not
is
just-
wide, it's as wide as it is.
Yeah, so we did switch to one.
Excellent. Okay,
So we'll see.
Good
I
deal.
know again, we do have some, I think, people in our already vetted pool, but of course, welcoming always.
In the village.
Yeah. I don't know about, that's true. I don't know about a time for the president, so interesting. But, yeah.
I mean, obviously not required by any means, just that.
Yeah.
Society.
Yeah.
First getting that funds.
Yeah. So we already have the two
Can
societies.
you speak to it right there? So that's it. Anything else?
No, that is all.
And is this effective immediately, or you're ditching us?
No, so, pretty much, I think, I mean, I might be for the next meeting. I don't know. Yeah, just for, post goes in the water, and then December meeting will be.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah.
All right.
The only other additional thing that I wanted to add when Joe was talking about was subcommittee, so. Procedural wise, my brain was in hearing mode for business meeting, hearing I'm in business meeting mode. But we cannot do subcommittees, obviously, at business meetings, since it is just staff approval. I was having, so just clarity on the procedural.
Well, now we got to establish, because we did it the right place.
Yeah, we did.
Makes
so,
sense.
Yeah, eventually we'll get there.
Right, we were just rolling with it. No one got it.
It's just ready, but,
Okay, sounds good.
anything else for?
I think I'm good. Anybody else? Oh, yeah, what do you got, sir?
Checking 835 Summit, did not know on the agenda.
No, it is not, sir. We can have a discussion after the meeting. Are you the architect for?
Yeah.
Yes, we can talk after the meeting on that. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, I guess we will adjourn the Italian Village Commission meeting do I have a second? Second. All in favor? All right, it is official.
Great.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, motion to adjourn. Are you definitely second? Huh?
I motioned and
Oh, yeah.
Joe seconded.
Thank you. Sorry.
It's gonna take 2 seconds to throw this out.
Oh, right, they are.
Have to play with it on the phone.
Fine, it's sure, it's fine.
I think it's right, it's bringing up my vision. Sorry, brain just.
Sorry.
Maybe like,
That's not crazy enough.
maybe not, sorry.
Thank you. Okay.
No, it's been great
Okay,
working,
every once in a while.
great working with you all, so.
It's understudied right now. It was in the programmatic, like.
Have a great evening.
cycle.
Again, it's been great working with you.
We.
Good luck,